What did you make of, saying about you being down to earth, what did you make of the Indian episode?
Well, the Indian episode was real interesting. I got 2 phone calls, one from George and one from John. We're going to Wales. See, he's always been to Wales. He doesn't remember. To meet the Maharishi, so I just got on the train because these guys wouldn't lie to me. So we met him in Wales, and then we all decided to go to this ashram in India. I think that I still thank Maharishi, you know, for what he said, but in the end I felt he was telling me stories, but that's my problem.
In the end, I mean, how long did you actually stick that course?
10 days.
He ran out of beans.
Yeah.
He
was going to get to that.
He came all the way up the Himalayas with a big
suitcase of beans and a suitcase of clothes.
And he didn't like flies and spiders.
No, can't stand them. But the interesting part was, you see, I can only eat bland food because I was very sick as a child. And so I'd have my beans, and then I was getting fed up with that. And so I said, "You got any eggs?" Like eggs in the morning, you know. And so I caught these guys burying the shells in the ground as if God wouldn't notice. So I decided to leave after that. Oh, no, he doesn't see those.
You lived in each other's pockets, didn't you? I mean, it was like being a family.
Oh, he's always lived in mine.
You had family rows. I mean, what were the
Yeah,
main...
we do. We have terrible rows.
What was the main cause of your squabbles in the early days?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'll leave that one up to you, George.
I don't remember any squabbles.
You don't remember anything, do you?
No. Instant amnesia.
What about now? What makes you cross with each other now?
Well, the last time we were cross was when George was suing me. See, what's nice, though, he calls me up...
Paul was cross.
yeah, he's still cross. The last time he calls me and say, "I'm going to sue you." I said, "No, George, don't be so dumb." "No, I'm going to sue you. I don't like what you've done." Because he wrote this song, and I had it mixed by somebody else. And he didn't like the mix, so he was going to sue me. So in the end, I said, "Sue me if you want, but I'll always love you."
Speaking of which, you two shared a flat, didn't you?
Yes, we did. Yes, we shared a flat.
It's on the M1, wasn't it?
Wadden House.
Yeah, I had to get the jack out and
yeah, it was fabulous sharing. Well, we shared a couple of places, actually. You know, when we first came down to London, you know, you're so insecure that we had to live together. You know, we weren't big boys and I'll have my own place. So I never left home. Who's going to make the tea and iron your shirts?
George, what was he like to live with?
Fabulous. Yeah, I mean, we only ever slept there anyway. We used to always be in the nightclubs, really, in those days.
Georgie, you know all his lines about I was never a discothequer?
Well, I wasn't.
You had to drag him out of them, you know.
Well, that was back in 64.
Yeah, before
65. Yeah. No, I stopped going to him around 1967, I think.
Yeah, I stopped in 1980.
But then you
married, have a wonderful wife, you know.
But then you rarely go to bed anyway, to sleep.
I never go to bed. Yeah. I'm an insomniac, mainly. When I'm not an insomniac, I sleep.
Well, that would cure it, I suppose. Let me set the record straight, though, about...
This is George.
He's a drummer. He's a drummer.
It happens all the time. Am I making a noise on the mic? I tap all the time to my heartbeat.
That's... Oh. Well, it's getting slower, I better tell you.
I can't wait for the coffin. Boom, boom, boom. Ready, Lord.
I hesitate to ask you a serious question, but, I mean, as we're talking about...
Well, why don't you, Michael?
I will. Set the record straight about today's situation. The press are keen to imply rifts. How do you and Paul get on?
We get on very well.
George?
Yeah, no, we do, actually. We, I mean...
We love you.
Yeah.
Which camera is it, for Christ's sake? It's bobbing around. Edit.
For, yeah, for about 10 years, I didn't really...
10 minutes.
I didn't really know Paul, and never really saw much of him through the last 10 or 12 years. But more recently, we've been hanging out and getting to know each other, going for dinner and meeting and having a laugh. And it's absolutely not true what they said in the News of the World last Sunday, which somebody, actually, I was in San Remo the day before Paul arrived, and I got a phone call from somebody, the Daily Mail phoned up, and they said, George, you know, I said, no, sorry, George has just left. And I pretended I was somebody else, and they said, well, there's some people down here who are trying to get this rumour started about you and Paul So I told him, you know, that we weren't... the reason why we weren't there together was because we didn't even know each other was going to be there anyway, and we were all there on different days. But it's definitely just one of those things that these people sit around and think, let's have a fight between, you know, George and Paul now, you know. But actually, I love Paul, he's my mate, and it doesn't matter what they say in the papers, it's not going to, you know, they're not going to get much mileage out of that one.
What about Yoko? Oh, no.
Yoko, I'm pleased to say, where are they?
Pleased to say.
Pleased to say that I had a great time with Yoko in New York on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it was nice to meet her. And fine, yeah, everything's fine.
When I and the rest of us hear Lennon records, but still, of course, impossible for us to believe that he's gone. It must be, of course, 1,000,000 times more for you, mustn't it?
Well, you've certainly brought the party down, Michael. It is, you know. I was stunned on the day, and I still...
Shocked and stunned.
I mean, I cry easy, and... I mean, just the other day, just because we're all sitting here, George and I watched this movie that Yoko was making about John. And I just get emotional. Oh, don't tell me, don't. No, I do, I get emotional, so...
Like George now.
I still miss the man. I loved the man, I was close to the man. And he went out just in such a stupid way, you know.
How did you hear
And the guy's famous now, for God's sake.
Yes, that's the...
What do you think of that?
That's the cruel irony, of course, you're quite right.
Stupid.
How did you hear the news yourself?
Well, I heard it. We were in the Bahamas at the time, and my stepdaughter, Francesca, called up, Barbara's daughter, and she said, something on the news about John. I said, well, what is it? Like the shooting and things like that? Well, you know, we don't know what it is, you know, I didn't really... I never ever went to, like, good night. And then they called back, and they said, yeah, he's actually been blown away. So we sat around and just devastated, actually. I mean, I was just down. And so 5 o'clock in the morning, I ordered a plane and flew to New York just to see if there was anything, you know, you can do, but you can't. But you just, you know, when you get to that position, situation, you know, you just do something, and that's what Barbara and I did, because you couldn't have a holiday after that, you know.